Hey everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your news report, second stimulus check update, and second stimulus package update for December 12th. According to The Hill, multiple economists say that stimulus checks should take backseat to jobless aid. According to The Hill, direct payments in the form of $600 or $1,200 stimulus checks are undoubtedly popular with most Americans. But economists say targeted funds for unemployed workers would do more for the economy, since those households are less likely to put the money into the savings. Folks, tell me in the comments down below. Do you think that Congress should pass more stimulus payments, or should they extend the unemployment benefits? According to the New York Times, the Senate cleared a week-long stopgap spending bill to buy time for an elusive pandemic aid bill. The New York Times goes on to say that Congress missed yet another deadline on Friday to deliver an economic stimulus package to help struggling Americans weather the pandemic, instead agreeing to extend government funding for an additional week as leaders continue to search for a deal. Now before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notifications bell. On this channel, we'll provide you with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check updates. So be sure to subscribe and click the bell.
And I've really been looking for some semblance of an agreement by today, and I'll give them a couple more days of grace. But just the amount of time it would take to, paper the deal in the legislative process and then move it through both chambers of Congress, if they want it to continue to be attached to this federal spending bill that, as Elon was saying, that expires or will soon expire next Friday, I really would need to see some announcement that they've reached a deal by end of the day Monday at the absolute latest.
Jimmy, some of the main sticking points appear to be over jobless benefits. Speaker Pelosi said she didn't like the White House proposal that got rid of the extra $300 bonus, but it does have the direct payments, the stimulus check that Hawley and Sanders are pushing for. So how likely do you think it is that a second stimulus check is coming, and could that be a way to resolve both disputes on both of these?
Now folks, tell me in the comments down below, who do you think is to blame for holding back your second stimulus check? But according to CBS News, a $908 billion bipartisan proposal will leave out stimulus payments, focusing instead on providing jobless workers with an additional $300 in weekly unemployment aid. On December 8th, the Treasury Secretary also proposed a $916 billion package that would provide stimulus checks worth $600 per person, although it would cut back on unemployment aid, according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, senators, including Bernie Sanders of Vermont, are insisting that any relief bill include another round of checks worth $1,200 for low and middle income Americans. That is the same amount offered under the $2 trillion CARES Act. Sanders, who is joined by Josh Hawley, a Republican from Missouri, pledged to force a vote on the proposal before lawmakers adjourn for the year on December 18th. Sanders said on the Senate floor, "What I don't understand is that at a time when in many ways the crisis is worse today than it was in March, why we are not responding accordingly. Again, we must make certain that every working family in this country receives a $1,200 direct payment, plus $500 for their kids." Bernie Sanders also tweeted out, "If Congress can afford to give giant subsidies to the fossil fuel industry and a $1 trillion tax break to the top 1%, then we can afford $1,200 direct payments to every working class adult in America." If you agree with Bernie Sanders, everybody, then leave a comment down below saying, "I agree."
Millions of families are struggling. They are struggling right now to put food on the table. They're struggling to get health care for their kids and for themselves. They're struggling not to get evicted from their apartments. They're struggling to get the few dollars they need to take care of their basic necessities. That is what's going on economically. And what I am fighting for right now is to make sure that when we talk about a COVID piece of legislation, an emergency bill, it must absolutely include at least $1,200 for every adult. This is what was in the CARES bill a while back, and $500 for every child.
Now, CBS News goes on to say that the Treasury Department stimulus plan is backed by the White House and offers good and bad news for cash-strapped Americans. On one hand, it suggests that the administration is willing to discuss a larger stimulus package, but it also muddies the waters for early negotiations on a bipartisan $908 billion stimulus plan. In the meantime, Congress remains deadlocked over the inclusion of provisions on state and local funding sought by Democrats. These issues remain a stumbling block heading into the weekend of December 12th, creating more uncertainty for the prospects of a stimulus deal. According to CBS News, Mnuchin said his offer includes funding for state and local governments, as well as the liability shield. But his offer would also cut unemployment aid from the $180 billion proposed by the bipartisan bill to $40 billion. That's according to a joint statement from Speaker Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Rather than agreeing, so we've sort of agreed on a big number. Do you think that would be like 99% of it, agreeing on the $900 billion, which is a tremendous amount of money, and then coming to agreement on some of these other portions? The fact that we have not figured that out yet, the fact that we're adding sort of new wrinkles, and the fact that we've known about this for months, that we've needed more stimulus to sort of create a bridge to when we have these vaccines, and the fact that it's not done, that reality in and of itself, I think, is the greatest reason for pessimism.
So, Stephanie, a couple of things. Leader McConnell last week said, we are not leaving Washington without getting this done. He was referring to the skinny bill that he unveiled that didn't have state and local, that didn't have the liability shield. So is it possible that we go through all of this and it is the skinny bill that gets done? Or do you think the only way this moves forward is if it's in the kind of $900 billion compromise range, either the bipartisan plan that we saw last week or the kind of newer White House version?
Yeah, and Pelosi has made similar comments with a similar sentiment. So both the leaders in both chambers have basically said no one's leaving.
The Senate approved a one-week stopgap bill to keep federal spending flowing until next Friday. Support for the stopgap measure, which overwhelmingly passed in the House on Wednesday, was widespread enough in the Senate that ultimately passed by voice vote. But the private wrangling before the vote on Friday forecast how difficult it will be for lawmakers to strike a deal on the next stimulus package. Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley warned that they plan to try to vote against the legislation of $908 billion if it would not include another round of $1,200 stimulus payments. Senator Mike Braun, a Republican of Indiana, had also resisted voting on a stopgap bill without the promise of a vote on a measure to end the threat of government shutdowns. Lawmakers and aides plan to work together through the weekend to haggle over a stimulus plan and the broader spending package. Now, folks, your stimulus bill and your second stimulus check is still live and still in negotiations. Congress has until December 18th to pass a stimulus bill.
Right now is that these Georgia Senate runoff elections are still looming large. So both sides are not sure if they're going to be in the Senate majority next year. And if they are, that gives them more leverage. So neither is really willing to back off. But all that being said, McConnell has sort of characterized through...
That being said, folks, that is all the news in today's video. If you found this video useful, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the bell. Thank you for watching, everybody, and until next time, have a great day.